Let's review MeiQ, Labyrinth of Death, which is a Japanese dungeon crawler created by Compile Heart in 2015 exclusively for the Playstation Vita. Compile Heart makes games for people who enjoy low-budget, light-hearted JRPGs with cute girls. Their games usually have a pretty low Metacritic score, but they have a small dedicated fanbase. I have finished 8 games from Compile Heart. It's like taking a vacation in a small, rural village in Japan rather than in Tokyo. There is a charm to visiting small villages or playing small games. Compile Heart is very prolific in 2D artwork. Their art is clean, pretty, and well designed. The character art style has excellent proportions with stylish clothing. The character 2D portraits have breathing animations, and the English lip sync is spot on. The town and shops also have very nice looking art. The 2D artists did a great job in making this game look good. The dungeon's environment is quite simple and relatively minimalistic, but it's pretty effective for a low-budget game. The 3-dimensional art is okay, but not outstanding. The music composer is Tenpei Sato, who is most notable for his Disgaea series. I especially like the Southern Cross Town theme, which is sort of an impressionistic relaxed waltz. This is one of the best themes I've heard all year. There are some audio issues in the game. I feel the victory music is a little jarring and loud. When your character hits multiple enemies at once, sometimes the sound is saturated with many overlapping audio clips. If you fast forward the battle speed, some of the audio clips suddenly cut off abruptly. The story and character development are simple and one-dimensional. Each character is heavily based on a trope, and there is almost nothing interesting about these characters besides them faithfully playing out their trope to a T. Most RPG villains have more depth than any of these characters. However, dungeon crawlers are less about story and more about exploration and battle mechanics, so how is the gameplay? The game is around 20 hours long, and you only have one party member in your team for the first couple hours, making for a very slow start and a quick end. Usually in a dungeon crawler, there is a serious risk and reward element because you're risking a game over if you get wiped out. However, in MeiQ, there is no game over. If you die, you simply exit the dungeon without losing progress. The maps are quite large. You can move fast in order to compensate for the larger map, but since you're moving so fast, it's easy to bump into walls. The game has an auto-turn feature where if you hit a wall with only one path to the side, you can automatically turn and keep going. Still, if you bump into a wall with a branching path, you'll fail to turn. There is a wall bumping animation where your characters will wince and complain, and you can't move while this animation plays out. Often, I would try to move during this animation, then I'd try to move forward again and bump into the wall again, triggering the bumping animation all over again. The delay after bumping into walls make it hard to correct the path. There are 4 mini-map settings. Because this game has larger maps, it is harder to zoom out in the mini-map because the elements will be too small. Often, I cannot see the walls portrayed on the map because it's too small and too low resolution. The battle has some interesting mechanics. Every single spell in the game is unique to a single character. For example, the character Setia has a move called Full Heal. No other character has Full Heal. Every single magic spell that Setia has is unique to Setia, and vice versa. There are 5 playable maidens, but you can only have 3 in your party, so you have to give up the movesets of 2 characters. This pro and con decision is fundamental to good dungeon crawling. There are no healing items that are usable in battle. Spells are super important because there's no other way to recover in battle. Even so, recovery spells are few and far between. This game has separate health for the mecha robots and the heroine in the form of GP and HP. Mechs have exponentially more health than the heroine, but some enemy attacks can bypass the mech and deal damage directly to the heroine. If the heroine falls in battle, the mech deactivates. Fortunately, if a heroine is attacked while at full health, she will always survive with at least 1 HP. Having the threat of direct HP damage to the heroine makes battles more tense. Each maiden can equip a mecha robot and seeds that boosts stats. The mech can equip gems, a body, and 1 weapon for each hand. If you have 2 of the same weapon, you temporarily gain access to a special powerful skill as long as these weapons are identical. There are a total of 10 mecha robots that you can use. I like how even though each maiden is specialized in a different element, they can pilot a robot and weapon that is not of their own element. For example, the Water Maiden can pilot an Earth robot and wield a fire weapon. You get a synergy boost if the Maiden matches the element of the robot, and if the robot element matches that of the weapon, but I like the flexibility in mixing and matching elements. Some random encounter enemies have a red aura around them, and are larger than their normal counterparts. These enhanced enemies can be like mini-bosses and give more experience and drops. I found little use in buying items from a store because this game doesn't have healing consumables, and most of the best gear can be found by thoroughly exploring the dungeon and forging your own. I also found the quest system slightly underwhelming. This game has fan service. Some characters have skimpy clothing, and it seems the artists pay special close attention to animating their chests. If you touch the characters with a Vita touchscreen, they will react. There is a few seconds of loading time when entering a map, when changing party members or equipment, or when saving. Sometimes it is as short as a few seconds, but sometimes the entire game can wait for 20 seconds. Overall, this game is probably not worth playing. I give MeiQ, Labyrinth of Death, a score of 6 out of 10 due to a small scope, uninspiring story and characters, and relatively mediocre dungeon exploration. If you are looking for a niche dungeon crawler on the Vita, I would recommend Dungeon Travelers 2 or Mary Skelter instead. If you have a Nintendo 3DS, the Etrian Odyssey series is an excellent choice. Feel free to check out my MeiQ Labyrinth of Death playthrough in the description below. Thanks for watching and happy gaming!